and where, let me show. No, this board is right there.
Okay.
Finley will hopefully join us later. He's in Mark's office at the moment for the meeting, so he said to start without him. And Shelley Nell is out of state, so she's not gonna be here today.
Thank you, sir.
So if everybody's ready, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And we'll note that Finley and Shelley are absent at the moment. We have Pat Moon with Meridian Investments with us, and our city attorney, Charles Finkenbinder, and our HR manager, Cody Arnold. Did anybody have a chance to look at the minutes?
Yeah, I did. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion's been made to approve.
Second.
Derek Cox has seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Pat, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you go first.
Okay, thank you so much. Wow, it's been a while since we've seen one another in person. I'm better at handling the technology in person since there's not any than I am on Zoom, so this is good, although we probably all got a little bit better at it. Well, I've just handed out the booklet, and I'll be making the report for the second quarter of the year ending June 30th. So I'll flip over to page 1 and talk about what's going on in the marketplace for just a few minutes. And then I'm going to talk about the portfolio and the performance. And then I've got a couple of administrative things I want to visit with you about. Do we have 20 minutes or so? Is that?
Yeah, got as much time as you need.
Okay. Well, let's start on page 1. And the story after we flipped off the switch last year in March in the economy and forced ourselves into recession, it's kind of been the recovery story ever since. Things happen so fast, and we're certainly doing that. Our economy is probably going to grow at the fastest pace in the last 50 years this quarter, in the second quarter, probably. And that's startling. It's big news or whatever, but it's coming off of a really low base, and so albeit good, it's probably not going to continue at that level. But what I wanted to show you is we're beginning to add jobs, a lot of jobs, and there's a lot of news about, and maybe you've gone to restaurants or whatever and they weren't fully staffed, and we're seeing some of that. And a lot of people are talking about the reasons for that, and there are some, but one of the reasons that's kind of a misnomer is a lot of people are staying home collecting unemployment checks. And there is a little bit of that, but that's really not the story. The story is we laid off 20 million people at the second quarter of last year, and many of those were in the hospitality industry, restaurants and travel and those kind of things. Many of those people took the opportunity to immediately go get a job and take themselves into a career path that they'd never had available to them before. There were a lot of job openings and kind of pre-pandemic things, and so they're not in the job force anymore for hospitality jobs. So I guess the good news is those people have elevated themselves in many cases. The bad news is, this worker shortage is probably not going to go away anytime soon. And we may see some of that effect over the next 2 or 3 years, and maybe many years. But the chart on the upper right-hand side shows our economic output, just the growth of our economy over that time. You can see the big dip that we had last year. We're about probably in economic output where we were at the beginning of the pandemic last year. And it looks like the year is going to finish out at a pace where if we'd have just kept kind of trucking along at a 2 or 3% pace, that's about where we're going to be at the end of this year. And so a big downturn, but a big recovery back to about where we would have been anyway. On the bottom left, one of the differences in, we forced ourselves into recession, but the bottom left-hand chart shows the number of jobs lost in the last recession, which was a big one, 08 and 09. It took us 2 years to lose 2 million jobs and another 2 years to gain 2 million jobs. Last year, it took us about 3 months to lose 20 million jobs, and we recovered 13.5 million of those now in the next 12 months. So just completely different type of recessionary environment that we've never seen. And the last thing I want to show you on the bottom right-hand side is what changed in consumer spending habits last year. A lot of people saved money because they didn't have the opportunity to travel or go out or whatever they're going to do. They worked on their homes. They did all those things. But the first group there are percent changes in spending on certain items. And those first four, light trucks, computer equipment, games and televisions, all of those are chips. And so that's why we're experiencing some of the chip shortage that we're seeing now, is because we used so many in personal items last year. You know, car lots are empty and all those kind of things. I think it's interesting that alcohol consumed at home went up 19% last year. I read a funny meme that said you're either going to finish the year as a hunk, a chunk, or a drunk, you know? And so I think you can only do 2 out of 3 of those if you're going to do more than one. And then the other things are the depressed items that are coming back now: taxis, hotels, hairdressers, sports activities, movie theaters, and all those kinds of things. So we're back in the thick of things, and things look pretty good. Given that we're facing, especially here locally, the pandemic seems to be, we're having a little bit of a surge in COVID cases. Not a little bit, a large surge in COVID cases. It's going to be interesting to see what impact that has on us in the next 6 months or so. The big story, other than the economy, is the inflation that it's produced. It's just caused all kinds of disjointedness in the economy. Everything from lumber prices, because housing has continued to boom, commodities, food prices are just soaring. And so inflation's running at a level we haven't seen in several decades, but we think it's probably just transitory. Everything's going to catch up, and prices probably will normalize, and we're not expected certainly to have any kind of inflation like we did back in the late 70s, early 80s, like that. So the bottom left-hand chart shows inflation, and if you can see the gray areas, those are other recessions, and typically we have a spike of inflation coming out of a recession. So what we're seeing is not altogether uncommon. And the upper right-hand chart shows that this is actually a U.S. phenomenon so far. Our economy has really grown and recovered, and we're doing well. Other economies around the world are behind us, and the inflation is not even started in the Eurozone or Japan. We're watching those. So we're probably seeing a multi-year good economic period because the rest of the world is going to be coming along right behind us. Turn to page 3. Let me make a couple of comments about what's going on in the bond market. This chart on the upper left-hand side is interest rates of a 10-year maturity treasury note in the dark blue, and the kind of the lighter blue grayish line is the 2-year. So that's the interest rate. So that's effectively my career in this investment business, going back to the mid to a little early 80s, and interest rates been going down the whole time. Of course, they had spiked when coming out of the 70s, interest rates for a mortgage got as high as 15%, in some cases 20%. That time inflation was really running rampant then, but we've been going down since then. I circled the area at the bottom right, so it looks like interest rates probably have bottomed. We need them to bottom. We need interest rates to recover and go up, and we're beginning to see a little bit of that. The 10-year is currently at about a 1.4%, 1.45% rate. And then the bottom left is the comparison of what little interest we have when you take inflation into consideration, the blue line being the 10-year nominal rate interest. So that's the actual interest rate of a 10-year of 1.45%. But if we subtract inflation from that, which is running between 2 and 3%, we're actually getting a negative return on a 10-year maturity bond, and that just can't continue. We need that to levelize and interest rates go up, especially if inflation is going to stay the way it is. So that's an area of our portfolio we got to be a little bit concerned about, because as interest rates go up, the prices of bonds go down. So what's usually a pretty conservative asset class is probably going to be pretty low earning, if not zero earning, maybe negative going forward. And then last on page 4, just a couple comments about the stock market. This top graph shows different segments of the stock market. Large company U.S. stocks is the S&P 500 orange, and the Russell 2000 is small company U.S. stocks. The yellow is EFA, or foreign developed markets stocks, and the blue is emerging markets foreign stocks. And you know, the U.S. S&P 500 was up 30% in 2019. It was up 18% last year. It's up 17% year to date through this year. It's been just a remarkable run up in stocks. Where we go from here, I'm not exactly sure, but your plan has certainly benefited from that. large company stocks have continued to be the best year to date, up 17%, small 16, foreign stocks a little bit behind. I think that will probably reverse itself. And the reason for that is the bottom left-hand side shows company earnings and revenues in that box on the bottom left-hand chart, the estimates on the right. You can see just expected for companies to do really well for the rest of the year, probably next year. And stocks are a reflection of company earnings and revenues, and so that's what's happening there. And there's really no reason the stock market has to go down. I wouldn't be surprised to get a correction. It probably even would be a little healthy. We'd see the stock market go down 10 or 15% for a short period of time, but we're not getting it. We're not getting it. So it doesn't necessarily have to. Stocks continue to do pretty well. And then on the right shows the industries that are doing the best. And you would expect the ones that are doing the best in earnings now are companies that were really depressed last year, like industrial type companies and things that we spend money on and those kind of things. So, well, let's turn to page 5 and talk about your portfolio. Focus first on the performance in percentage terms for the quarter ending June 30th. I'm looking at the top green. That's your total portfolio was up 6.3%. It's up 8.8% year to date. It's up 30% over the last 1 year. And keep in mind, that's kind of a little bit off of some of the stock market was still a little lower after it went down. So last year, so that's a little bit misreading. But look over the last 3 years, average 12% a year, 5 years 11%. And over the last year, 10 years, 8%. Your actuarial rate of return, I think, is 6 or 6.5. So the bull market's been good to the fund. Then you can see the performance of your stocks, purple versus U.S. and foreign stocks there. Actually, over the last 1 year, your performance has been much better than both. It's usually in between both, but been good. And then you can see the very modest returns in the bonds down below, and that's not going to change. It's going to be pretty modest there. So we're sticking with quite a bit more weight in stocks than we are bonds now. And then the 12-month cash flow, Tyler, you're talking about, are we at $100 million yet? But it is kind of amazing, just the increase in dollar. And I take it back to when you guys took over the fund. So obviously there's some correlation there that right as you guys took over the fund, it really took off.
We accept your
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
accolades.
Yeah. So you're doing something right. At the end of 2019, you had $12.4 million. And so it went down the low of March last year, about $10.4 million. And then you finished at the end of 20 with 14.6 million, just under 15 million in end of the quarter this past year, first quarter, and then you're almost to $6 million, $16 million, I'm sorry, as of the end of June 30th. So 15.
What you're saying is we should just sell everything?
No,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not saying that. In fact, this is one thing that you'll know about me, and you probably already know about me, but we stay fully invested all the time because you never know.
Yeah.
And this is really a 15-year bull market. We've had some drops and things like that, but the worst thing we could do for this fund is to miss a rally in stocks. Now, it's okay to own stocks and they go down and then you go back, because they always go back up. But if we ever miss one completely, you've missed those returns and that money for the remainder of the life of this fund, which is forever.
Yep.
So that's the biggest mistake that we should make, not to go through a downturn, because we'll go through that, we'll go through it together, but we don't want to miss anything going up. And this stock market doesn't want to go down. It just doesn't. It's remarkable. Just every day, just kind of hanging in there. Not really going up right now, but it's not going down either. Well, lastly, on page 6, I just always like to show you where we are on the asset allocation, because as you know, this is where your returns come from. This is the most important part of decisions of your portfolio, is what this pie chart looks like, and your policy range at the top right. So we've got you at the bottom range of bonds, very bottom. And I've told you why that is. Returns are low. And then we've got you mostly in stocks, very little cash as well. So we're gonna ride this stock market as long as it goes, and then, we are shifting a little bit more to foreign stocks than we've ever had, close to 30% now. Have been much heavier weighted in US stocks, and that's done well. So we'll see how the next few months go out. Didn't have a lot of activity during the quarter. We did make 2 purchases, one of Etsy. Have you ever heard of Etsy? Have you? Okay. It was kind of a new company to me, relatively small, but it's a marketplace for, it has been vintage goods and things like that, but they're actually doing many other things. And Bristol Myers, just a whole line drug company there. And we sold Illumina, not because it was a bad investment. It had done really well. Their DNA testing in the human genome, the company that does the equipment for that, and it had quadrupled. And so we just took it. We hope it goes down. We'll buy it back. And then we sold the bond fund there. And you'll see the list of top 10 stocks there. That hasn't changed dramatically, but it does have shift a little bit from quarter to quarter.
With the state of the bond market, should we consider temporarily going below our minimum allocation?
Yeah, I don't think so. And this is the reason. I can show you just academically where a portfolio that owns 10% bonds does as well as one that owns 100% stocks over time. Just does, because it doesn't go down as much as when the stock market goes down. It's kind of
Steady.
Yeah, kind of statistics there. And so another 10% gets you to 20, and it helps us during the time when we had last year. It's kind of your anchor, whatever. So I'd hate to make the decision to go quite a bit under that, and then we have a stock market correction.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a safety net.
It is. It is. Your portfolio is pretty aggressive for a pension fund. It is. Most pension funds, are invested too conservatively because they really don't take into account that it really doesn't have the end of a life. We're planning for many lives ahead. It's so long, and I can show you every 20-year period ever in history that the stock market does better than the bond market. So we've always said we ought to be. Now we're at 80% instead of 70 or 65 because the bond market's so bad.
Right.
Okay. Well, good. Well, let's talk on page 7. We're getting ready to lower your fee. And one of the good things about this business is all priced off of assets, and as assets go up, you have more purchasing power than you do with us or anybody else the same. This pricing schedule has tracked along the same as the Conway Corp pension fund that we manage. And so in the past, you've had a tiered fee schedule of you pay 0.65% management fee for the first 5 million, then 0.5 for the next 5, and then it started 0.45 at 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that to 0.45% on the first 20 million, and then at that point we'll go down to 0.35%. And I'll give you a little bit of perspective. We're not trying to be the least expensive. We certainly don't want to be the least expensive on the market, but we're not trying to be really expensive either. We manage a bond portfolio for the State Highway Department, and it's about $70 million or so just in bonds, and the fee for that is 0.25%. The other manager is out of Chicago, and they manage $1.2 billion of their fund, and their fee is 0.35%. So I just throw that as reference to you that I think this is certainly in the ballpark, if not very, very reasonable for your plan. But you've been such a great plan for us, great relationship. We really appreciate your business. So we'd rather go to you with fee decreases instead of you come to us.
And we like fee decreases.
Yeah, I know you do. That's just a little bit more. All right, and I've got the assets there in the back, and then Lisa has a copy of those also that you usually get for the court. Can I talk about a few administrative matters here that we need to get cleared up? I've talked to you in the last year probably. You changed the name of the plan, didn't change the tax ID, and we need to get all that straight about the account title and who has access to it and all that. So We've worked with Schwab in kind of a contentious environment, if I might say, only because it was hard, but we do have it figured out. And so in order to change the name of the account at Schwab, Charles Schwab, which is your brokerage account, they're holding your assets, we need a corporate resolution that I've prepared, a board resolution, which I prepared today. And then we need some Schwab documents signed. So this board resolution is just saying that you're changing the name, and then you're removing Tab Townsend, Richard Hall, Ronnie Hall, from being trustees. Okay. And then when we talked about this a little over a year ago, you said, well, we want, this is actually given access to the account where you can move money, get reports, all the administrative matters, that you wanted Bart and continue to have Mike Garrett, and then Lisa, you and Tyler were going to be the other two from the board. Okay. Is that still acceptable, those four?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Charles, I'll probably leave this board resolution with you to look over, make sure it meets, if I need to make some changes, we can do that. So there's part of it. The other part is the company retirement application. And Lisa, you went and got signatures on one before the end of last year. This is a little bit different, but we've taken all that information that you gave us and completed these for each of the four of you.
Okay.
And I've got a tag here where to sign that looks like a lot, but it's actually the four of you signing twice.
Okay.
So you'll just follow these.
But now we signed them all once
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, I know. This is we had to do something different.
Okay.
That didn't work. I did want to show you that you're the pink tab
Okay.
of the four. Okay. The next thing is the Meridian agreement, which is the same as your old agreement, but it reflects the old fee schedule. The new fee schedule, starting July the 1st. And so anybody can sign that. I just wanted to tell you, our agreement is, it does two things. It gives us the authority to manage the money, and you're giving us the full power discretion, where I'm not going to call you and say, hey, what do you think about Walmart? We'll just buy Walmart, right? And the other thing is, it's a 30-day contract. So you're not signing a period of time beyond 30 days. If we ever need to make a change, can do that. And the last thing is, I've updated the investment policy statement to reflect your group in the new name, same as the old one. But the policy statement is the asset allocation. Is what we've agreed to, is 20 to 40% bonds, 60 to 80% stocks, and less than 10% in cash. And so I guess my question to you is, who would you want to sign the investment advisor agreement and investment policy statement for the board?
Well, shouldn't the mayor sign both of those documents?
It's whatever you think.
What do you think, Charles?
I'd say that, that'd be the safest bet for sure. And if not him, then I would say the chair of the pension board, which would be you.
I'm sure the mayor will be glad to sign.
Okay. I put, actually, I see where we put board chairman on the Meridian agreement, so I'll get a new one of those to you. Okay, to have the mayor's name on that, but everything else is good here.
He signs all of our others.
Got it. And that is a contract. That's the investment advisory agreement. Thank you for your patience. That was a lot.
Thanks for coming.
All right. It's good to see you.
Appreciate it.
It is. It's good. Market's up. I'm ready to come.
We like these kind of reports.
I do. I do bad meetings too, though. I do those, but these are better.
You do bad things.
Bad meetings.
Oh, bad meetings.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, bad things.
Bad meetings.
Is that the part where you've got an agreement, you don't have to call us, you can just do something bad every now and then?
The total amount, well, we have one for $4,670, one for $258, one for $1,681, one for $14,971, and one for $10,830. Total amount will be $32,412.13.
Are any of those employees over 10 years?
Oh, no, none of them were over 10 years. One of them, was a post-tax, pre-tax. The one that was 14,000 would have been in the, old plan,
Grandfathered?
the grandfathered plan. So that, I mean, that's good for the plan, that she went ahead and left, so, and withdrew her pension.
But she was not yet vested?
No.
Okay.
No, she had not been here 10 years. And even if she had, she could have withdrawn it if she wanted to,
Right, yeah.
but, and that was Kiera.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I just need and I got the figures from, Wes. So I just need someone to verify, make a motion.
Motion to pay them their money.
I will second that motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have one retirement request, William Kennedy. He will actually have his 20 years in on August 13th. He wishes to make his retirement effective August 14th. He is not yet 60 years old, but he will have his 20 years in. And his monthly pension amount is going to be $1,540.26. He is eligible, and I think everybody knows William.
Yes.
So I need a motion to approve his retirement.
We'll make that motion. Second.
Tyler and Derek, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Does anyone have any new business?
Not here. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank y'all.
It was fun.